It's afternoon now, anyways. Um, so I was out and about and found a couple of little spots that I wanted to explore. And one of the things I like to do while I'm exploring is I like to listen to Dry Creek Wrangler School. I like to listen to Dwayne just talk about, you know, life, being a man, things like that. And he said something that really interested me and really made me want to talk about it. You know, we always fantasize and we always hold on a high level the cowboy, the outlaw, the man who goes above and beyond, the punisher, the guy who it doesn't matter what is legal. He's going to do what's right. We always hold that man to a high value. We always hold that kind of person and we say, "Man, that's a man. That's how a man should be." And while I was listening to Dwayne, he said something that um, really resonated with me. And then there's another guy. He's a Navy SEAL. His name is Chad Wright, I think. Let me see if I can find this real quick. It's a short where he's talking about how he carries a gun everywhere he goes. He doesn't need a. Is this it? No. He's talking about how he doesn't need a concealed carry permit. He carries his gun everywhere he goes, and yeah, he's 100% right. I can find the clip here. I can't find it. Check X. Oh, let me try one more thing. Let me try one more thing. Yeah, I don't think I can find it. I wish I knew where the video was that he said it. But basically, the point he made is, regardless of legal, regardless of illegal, regardless of state law, whatever it is, he carries guns. He carries lots of guns. He carries rifles. He carries pistols. He carries whatever. Um, and he'd rather be arrested than dead, which is something that I thought about pretty heavily when I started carrying a gun. When I started carrying a gun, when I started concealed carrying, I immediately stopped worrying about. I immediately stopped worrying about where it's legal to carry a gun, where it's illegal to carry a gun. Um, I just it's concealed. Who cares? Minus the handful of places that have, metal detectors and things like that. I mean, obviously, you can only do so much without, seriously getting. It's not seriously getting in trouble. So I'm still trying to find this, by the way. Without seriously getting yourself in trouble, carrying a gun just about everywhere you go. Yeah, even if You're not allowed. I might get arrested. I might end up in jail if I have to use it, but I'd rather be that than dead. I'd rather be judged than be dead. Yeah, I can't find. I'll try one more thing. This might be it. Yep, I found it. I found it. So here's that. And the guys in the background, they're laughing like, "Oh, this is funny, ha ha ha!" Like, but it's not.
I carry guns everywhere I go across state lines. I don't give a crap. I don't even look at the law. And I may wind up in prison one day, but I don't care because I will not obey a law that violates my right to keep and bear arms.
Nice.
The only thing that stands between our freedom,
Let's quit.
I will never quit.
In the SEAL teams, I was a
negativity.
I don't know what kind of
Yeah, so there's more to the clip than that, but that's the gist of it. And it's something that I started thinking about. Hang on a second, the wife's calling me. Women, am I right? Fucking women. When I started carrying, I was very nervous about carrying because, I was 21. I didn't have a concealed carry permit. And at the time, Ohio was not a constitutional carry state. We had open carry, we had concealed carry, you had to have a permit to concealed carry, and I didn't have a permit to concealed carry. So I got very nervous about carrying a gun because, man, what if somebody sees? What if somebody thinks I'm crazy? What if somebody calls the cops on me while I'm in Walmart? But, I was a young man and I felt a duty to protect those that won't or can't protect themselves. And at that time, a firearm was the best way to do it because I wasn't much of a fighter. I knew how to throw a punch. I didn't have any real serious training. Still really don't. I've done a little bit of jiu-jitsu and some striking here and there, just training with friends. But I don't have any professional training. I've been in a good number of scraps. I can hold my own, but I'm not a black belt. I'm not a serious fighter. I'm a guy who kind of knows how to fight. But at that time, I wasn't. I was 21. I'd been in some fights in school. I'd done a little bit of boxing with some friends, and I could throw a punch. Now I have a much better understanding of how to fight through the training that I did while I was doing jiu-jitsu and then training afterwards with my nephew in a more MMA style of fighting. It's one of them things where you kind of get good or you kind of get your ass beat. And I did a little bit of both. There's a lot of stuff I don't remember from jiu-jitsu. There's a lot of stuff I don't remember from those fights, but there's a lot of stuff I do remember. A lot of things I remember, like just how much sometimes you just need to be dominant. You just need to roll in there and you just need to be overwhelming sometimes. Like that's something when I first started carrying, I didn't know. So I wanted to concealed carry though, because I always thought, man, open carry is kind of dumb. You kind of make yourself a target. Like if I were a bad guy and I'm in Walmart and I'm going to start shooting people, the first people I'm going to shoot are the guys with guns on their hips. Another thing I thought about is, I didn't have a good holster with good retention. I was using this bullshit. It's 2 flaps of leather. It was a bullshit holster, and I didn't know any better at the time. And, my brother hadn't seen what I was carrying and how I was carrying, and he was like, He's like, that holster's shit. Like, you can try to make it better, but you need to get rid of that. And it wasn't like an urgent thing. It was just like, that thing's garbage. Get rid of it. And so eventually, yeah, I did. But I didn't start getting into good holsters until I got into good guns. My first gun was a Taurus G2C. It's not a terrible gun, not a good gun. It's a cheap little $300 compact or subcompact, whatever it is, and it's good enough. It's good enough. It gets the job done. It'll put a hole in a person. You know, it's good enough. But had I known then what I know now, you know, I bought a bunch of guns. I bought a bunch of pistols because I was like, oh, I want a 9mm and I want a 40 and I want a cowboy gun and I want this and I want that. And I didn't know anything, is what I learned. But I started to think about concealed carry. And I had a friend, his name's Mike. Mike, if you're watching, fuck you. I had a friend named Mike, and Mike's very cautious. Mike, I've told this story before. The first time I took Mike shooting, Mike's very cautious to the point where we're at a public range, we're on a firing line, everybody's shooting, and Mike goes, "Hey, is it my turn? Am I allowed to shoot? Like, what's going on? Like, am I good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Like, shoot. Everyone else is shooting." And Mike is very nervous about things. Mike is very willing to follow the law, whereas I don't so much care. For example, we have what I call our range, and our range is just a spot in the woods. Is it legal? I don't know. But the cop cars can't get there, so does it matter? Which leads to the topic of the video. Wife being a pain in the ass. Don't have wives, folks. Don't have wives. Oh my god. Excuse me a moment. So you know, I'm very I don't care, let's do it. Mike's very are we allowed to do it? So a lot of times I just tell Mike we're not allowed to do it. And over time, Mike's been like, well, I mean, if we're not allowed to do it, I guess we can do it. But then you have someone like my mom. My mom would never dream of going into the woods and just shooting in the woods. Now, we have a backstop. We have, like, it's a safe place to shoot. It's a big, like, 30-foot cliff behind us. And, I mean, you're safe to shoot here. And a lot of times we have our targets lower than us, so we're shooting downhill slightly. So, I mean, the rounds usually aren't even making it to the backstop. There's a huge stretch of water. There's a backstop. And it's completely safe. Now, Mike, being as cautious as he is, at this point, he's a little more comfortable shooting. So we go and we shoot there, and he's like, good to go? Good to go? Cool. And he'll do his thing. But he was very, I don't want to even carry a gun without a concealed carry permit. Mike's not someone like me who carries all day, every day. I carry all day, every day. I carry at work. I carry everywhere I go. I carry, if I'm out of the house, I have a gun on me. And that's partly because you never know what's going to happen. Even when I'm working on cars, I have a gun on me. And part of that being, like I was talking about earlier today, my neighbors have vicious dog. I'm going to keep that thing on me. I've had people pull into my driveway for no reason. And I've had people pull into my driveway and just sit there. Got a gun on me. And now I'll go confront them. When I was younger, I wouldn't, because I'm like, there's a car in my driveway. I'm just going to stay in the garage. But as I've gotten older, I've realized I don't need laws. I know right from wrong. I don't need the law to tell me right from wrong. And this is where Dwayne's point comes in. So I want to play what Dwayne has to say, and then we'll get in depth a little more. Because I think the way Dwayne says it is a little more refined and a little bit better than I can say it. I am a clumsy hothead with my words, and I think Dwayne is someone who takes a little more time and thinks out how and what he wants to say. So we'll hear it from him first. We'll listen to the wise old man, and then I'll give you my opinions on what the wise old man has to say.
The law, for the sake of the law.
Let me go back here.
In both directions. I do not obey the law for the sake of the law. All right, I heard a part of a song the other day. You guys probably know it, know the singer and everything, but I don't need the law to tell me what I ought to do. I don't know who that was. And I just heard that line as I was going through somewhere. I don't know, radio was on or something. And that's me. Okay? I don't go around assaulting.
Just for perspective, Dwayne has been a cop in the past. He's been a cowboy for a long time. He's been the kind of man that solves problems for a long time. He has problem-solving skills. He understands the legality of things, and he is someone who says, yeah, there you go, protect yourself. Like, be wise, be sensible. And now he's saying, I don't need the law because I need the law. I don't follow the law because I need it. I don't need the law to tell me how to be a good person.
People. And it's not because the law tells me that I cannot assault people. If you refuse to do things that are wrong because you're afraid of the law, you have a very huge, important chunk of you that's missing. All right? The law is not there for the good man. The law is there for the bad man. The law is there to set up the penalties, since the bad man cannot govern himself. All right? So if I do no harm to you, it's not because the law tells me don't do harm to that person. All right? But that's a two-edged sword. If I'm walking downtown with my wife of 32 years, whom I love and respect and take very seriously my responsibility towards, and someone disrespects now this has come up before, and there's some of you have a hard time with it. So we're going to clarify it now. All right? And someone disrespects my wife. And I don't mean just a mumble as they go by or something, but I mean seriously, I'm in another aisle and she's in this aisle, and I come around the corner and there's a problem. If the law is not what keeps me, now listen to me. If the law is not what keeps me from doing harm to someone who doesn't need harm, then the law is not going to keep me from doing harm to someone that I judge needs to be dealt with.
That right there is the part that got me thinking. Now, I've had this thought, this idea for a while that back in the day, we had cowboys, we had explorers, we had wanderers, vagabonds, people that went place to place, and they stayed for a little while and then they moved on to another place. And law enforcement back then was very different than it is now. Law enforcement was not so much law enforcement as it was people policing their own. We saw a lot more where people would just say, hey, get out of here. You cause trouble when you're in this town. You're not welcome here. Leave. We saw store owners that would say, you're not shopping here because you like to get shitty drunk and you beat the shit out of my cousin. So you're not shopping here because you're not a good person. We don't want people like you here. Get lost. You cause problems when you're here. We don't want people like you. We want good people here. And they would police themselves. They didn't need the sheriff unless there was something serious going on. You know, if somebody stole something and they went into town, oh yeah, Jim stole my horse. Jim stole my, we'll say Jim stole my pig. Jim stole my pig. Well, let's go get your pig back. You know, a couple guys would be like, let's go get your pig back. We ain't let Jim take your pig. That's bullshit. There's a couple guys may stop by and be like, hey, Sheriff, Jim stole Johnny's pig. We're going to go get it back. And the sheriff might tag along. But a lot of the times, justice was dealt by people just saying, nah, you can't do that. Nowadays, we have so many laws on the books. I think it's in Georgia where it's illegal to walk down the street with an ice cream cone in your pocket. Why? Well, because back in the day when people wrangled horses and would steal horses and stuff, how do you get a horse to follow you? Put something at once in your pocket and walk away. So you would see someone that would see a horse that they want, and they would go up to the horse, they would pet him, and oh, look at you, you're such a beautiful horse. If they got caught, I'm sorry, I didn't mean nothing. I was just admiring your horse. You have a beautiful animal, and they could walk away. But if nobody pays attention while they're petting that beautiful horse, look at you, you're such a beautiful horse. This hand everyone sees while I'm petting that horse on the head. Nobody sees this hand untying the hitch and releasing the horse from the hitching post. And I have an ice cream cone in my hand. Well, what's the ice cream in my pocket? What's the ice cream cone made out of? Sugar. What do horses love? Sugar. So you give them a little piece of it. Good horse, you're a good horse. Then you walk away, and the horse follows you because now the horse has associated you with something good. But that's the law that still exists today in 2026. It's not enforced, but it's a law that exists nonetheless. So if I go walk down the street in Georgia with an ice cream cone in my pocket, I'm breaking the law. I'm a criminal. But I don't care that I'm breaking the law. Because that law is no longer necessary. I don't care that I'm breaking that law. I'll give you another example of a law that I break all the time. I often don't wear my seatbelt. Why? Well, because I bought the car, my taxes pay for the road, I'm using a product I purchased on a service I pay for. Why do you care if I'm wearing my seatbelt or not? Also, I run a lot of back roads, and it's not a big deal. I'm usually the only car on the road, so there's also that. But why do you care? Well, the fact of the matter is they don't. Insurance companies just found a way to make more money because if you get a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt, that ticket goes on your driving record, and then when your driving record has tickets on it, the insurance company can charge you more. So it's nothing more than a corrupt system to make a little bit extra money. Is it fair? No. Is it a good idea? Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, they got you. They make their money off you because you're a chump and you don't wear your seatbelt, and from time to time you get pulled over. Now, have I gotten pulled over for not wearing my seatbelt? Yeah, a couple times. How many times have I driven without it? I don't fucking know. Every day? Like, multiple times a day? I went out exploring on the back roads. There was a path down by the power lines that I took, and I drove all the way there, no seatbelt. I drove through there, no seatbelt. Got back on the road, and there's some access roads to these gas wells. I drove to Sheets, got some snacks, and then went and explored those gas well roads, and just no seatbelt, no nothing. I just did my thing. drove past no trespassing signs. I drove past, like, it doesn't matter. There's no one here. There's nobody here. I'm not hurting anybody. Now, shouldn't trespass. I will give you that. I should have seen the no trespassing sign and been like, nah, but curiosity got the better of me. And I think everyone who's ever had a four-wheel drive has driven past the no trespassing sign because what's down there? Like, there might be something cool. I got a four-wheel drive. I mean, yeah, I'm going to go check it out. But those aren't the laws I'm talking about. Those aren't, of course, there's dumb laws like that that everybody ignores. If you've ever done urban exploring, you've ignored a no trespassing sign. Did anyone get hurt? No. And I'm not necessarily of the no victim, no crime camp, but I do agree with that to quite an extent. I think there are some things where no victim, no crime applies, but I think there are some things where there is a victim, it's just 3, 4, 5 steps down the road and you don't realize that there's a victim. I give you an example of no victim, no crime. Concealed carry without a permit. Who's the victim? Tell me honestly who the victim is. There isn't one. Constitutional carry is now legal in the state of Ohio. So if for some reason there were a victim that were hurt by me carrying without a permit prior to, I think it was like 2023, prior to that, who's the victim now in 2026? Because it was illegal up until, I think, 2023. Let me just double check just to be sure. When was Ohio made constitutional carry? I think it was 2023. Oh, it was 2022. I'm sorry. So 2022 is when Ohio was made a constitutional carry state. Now, my wife had started carrying in 2021. My wife never open carried. And I told her, I said, you know, you can conceal carry. Concealed carry is legal in the state of Ohio, but you have to have a permit to do it legally. On that same note, if you're concealed carrying and you have to use your firearm, you got bigger problems than whether or not you got a piece of paper that said, yeah, you can carry that. Also, in a state where open carry is a thing, I don't understand what the difference is. Open carry, oh, you can see it. Concealed carry, my shirt's over it. What is the difference? I'm still carrying a firearm. It's none of your business what I'm doing. It's none of your... Are you going to pull me over and ask me if I'm wearing socks? No, because it's none of your business if I'm wearing socks. It's none of your business if I have a firearm. States like Florida, you're not allowed to open carry unless you're hunting or fishing. Why? Has anyone ever stopped to ask that question? Why? Why can I not open carry? So, theoretically, in the state of Ohio, I can throw on my gun belt and I can go walk around like that. People going to look? Yeah. Are people going to say shit? Yeah. Are people going to be judging? Yeah. 100%. As I believe they should. If I saw someone walking around with a gun belt on, I'm going to be like, hey, what the fuck's this dude doing? In Florida, that's not legal. If I went to Florida, I might still bring my gun belt. You know, I often bring either a gun belt or a chest rig when I'm traveling. So, okay, I go to Florida, I'm going to carry a chest rig. Because if I get to the point where I need to deploy a rifle, I don't care about any law. I've had to deploy a rifle. The law doesn't matter at that point. You know, the Russians have fallen from the sky or whatever. Or, you know, the gang members are slaughtering each other and I had to defend myself from that. Whatever the case may be. Like, I'm outie. I'm leaving this place. I don't care about your laws. I'm out. But there's other laws. Like, for example, like Dwayne used the example of assault. Assault is illegal, period. Okay. I don't need a law to tell me not to go hit people. I don't not assault people because I'm afraid of the consequences. I don't assault people because I don't have a reason to assault you. If you give me a reason to assault you, I'm gonna. Well, what's a reason to assault you? Say you're trying to steal my car. I'm gonna fucking hit you. That's my car. Say you push my wife to get in line at Walmart. I'm gonna push you. I'm gonna get physical with you. You've crossed a personal moral boundary. You've tried to hurt my wife. You've tried to steal my car. You've tried to kick my dog. I'm gonna get violent with you. I'm going to protect mine. Or if I see you push some old lady, I'm gonna get violent with you. I'm gonna get aggressive with you. I'm not gonna shoot you unless I have a valid reason to. If you push an old lady and you pull out a knife, then yeah, maybe I might smoke you. But if you just shove a little old lady, I'm gonna do something about that, and it's probably gonna be I'm gonna hit you, probably gonna punch you in the mouth, or I'm gonna fucking tackle you, or I'm gonna fucking, we're gonna do something here. Like, now you're fucking with me. You fucked with this little old lady. Now you're fucking with a grown ass man. I mean, I'm not gonna tolerate that. Is that illegal? Yeah, kinda. Can't just go around. If this little old lady, I'm not related to her. I don't know her. I don't know her from Adam. I don't know. I've never met her before. I've never seen her before. But I see some punk ass kid push her and knocks her down to the ground. And I go tackle it. I start wailing on it. That's assault. But I don't care. I don't care. Some laws aren't worth caring about because the right thing is more important than that law. Like Chad said, yeah, I don't care that I carry. I don't even look at the gun laws in the state I'm going to. I don't give a crap. I'm going to carry my gun. I'm going to take it. I'm going to carry it. I'm not going to tell anyone I'm carrying it. I'm going to do it. I don't care. And if I get arrested, I get arrested. There's a certain point where if I get arrested, I get arrested. If I go to jail, I go to jail. Jail doesn't scare me. Do I want to go to jail? No, of course not. I enjoy being a free man. I enjoy being able to go out and go explore little access roads all over town and see where they go in the woods. And most of them just go down and turn around. But, it's a fun way to kill a couple hours. And it's what I did. I went out and I killed 2 or 3 hours. And, I stopped and got some lunch. And I just had some fun. It was just something to do for a little while. Normally, I do that kind of stuff on my dirt bike because it's a lot easier to turn a dirt bike around than it is to turn around a Jeep. But, it's not the end of the world. You can still back up until the transmission goes out, and then you don't have reverse. But, maybe don't go exploring things until you get your reverse fixed. Just saying. But I digress. That's not the point. The point is, a lot of the places that we off-road, a lot of the places that we ride dirt bikes, technically trespassing. A lot of that's private land. A lot of that, you're trespassing on it. Most people don't give a shit. The landowners don't care. The people that ride there don't care. Nobody's getting hurt. And if the landowners care, they make it obvious that they care. There's a place I ride where there was a whole section of it that we used to ride, and this dude's put big dead men, like the 6 foot by 4 foot concrete blocks are like 3 feet tall. They're like 6 foot long and they're like 2 or 3 feet wide. And let me pull up a picture of them. You know what a dead man barrier is. Now I've carried these things. I've hauled these things. Yeah, these things. They're a pain in the ass to load, by the way. They actually load better than just the regular, like, skinny ones, the Jersey barriers. Yeah, these big ass things though. These big ass concrete dead men. They put those in, and then a lot of people they'll use them like this for landscaping or whatever, so they can separate gravel from sand, from mulch or whatever. But this guy had to put up dead men because he bought the property, and the property was the entrance to where we rode, and he put up no trespassing signs. He put up a sign that was like, under new ownership, seriously, no trespassing. I forget how it was worded, but he was like, "Hey, seriously, don't trespass. Like, go around, go in somewhere else." And over time, he just said, "Fuck it," and put up these dead men. Well, then a company bought another section of the property where we would go in, and they put up dead men. And so now we've lost a third of where we ride, but the other landowners in the area don't care. So does it matter that we're trespassing when we ride? No, it doesn't matter because no one gives a shit. And I guess you could make the argument it's only trespassing if it's posted no trespassing and the parts we're riding on are not posted. But if that's private property, yeah, you're still trespassing. But no one cares. If I'm carrying a gun without a concealed carry permit in a state that I'm not allowed to carry a gun in, nobody cares because nobody knows. Nobody gives a shit that I'm breaking a law that nobody knows exists. Well, they know the law exists, but they don't know that I'm breaking it. So who gives a fuck? I'm tired of living in such a litigious society where everything has to be illegal or everything, there's a law for this, there's a law for that. At a certain point, we just stop following laws that don't matter. Like the one I used earlier with the ice cream cone. Or there's laws against letting pies cool on your windowsill on Sunday because people would go to church on Sunday and they would leave their pies cooling, and then a bear would get into somebody's house and they would come home to a bear. Well, that's not a problem anymore for the most part. So, yeah, it's illegal somewhere, but nobody follows that law. We don't need half the laws we have. Like I said earlier, there's laws against assault, but I don't not assault people because there's laws against it. I don't assault people because it's not the right thing to do. I don't steal your car because stealing is the wrong thing to do. Now, for me, that comes from Christian morals. You know, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder. I don't go bang my neighbor's wife because thou shalt not adulter. You know, there's certain things I do that I don't need laws. They come from, my morals come from religion, or there's a line from a Brantley Gilbert song, and he says, if I have to put the law in my hands, then it's mine to break. And I think there's a certain truth to that. If you say this is illegal and I have to deal with it anyways, then it's mine to deal with how I feel fit. If I see the kid push an old lady at Walmart and I go over there and I just start beating his ass, I had to put the law in my hands. You weren't around to deal with it. I dealt with it. Problem solved. And I think we need a little more of that in this country, a little more of that in this world than what we have, where we allow anything to happen and then someone calls the police and the police don't help. The police don't do much anymore. It seems like they're too worried about creating another victim. I just feel like we have so many things that are illegal, so many things that if people cared, they would enforce it themselves. If I had land and people trespassed on my land, I would put up a gate. If someone tore down my gate, I would put up trail cameras so that I could find the person that tore down my gate. And then I would put my gate back up. And then if they tore it down again, I'd go to the courts and say, this person has damaged my property. I would like this dealt with. If the courts didn't deal with it, then I would. And I'm not saying that I would murder somebody. I'm saying that maybe I would see, well, when's the last time they came? Well, it was a Saturday. So I'm going to go by on Saturdays. I'm going to go by my gate and make sure that nobody's torn my gate down until I catch whoever's doing it. And then I'm going to say, hey, man, you're tearing my gate down. This is private property. Stay the hell out of here. I don't need a law to say don't trespass. If somebody comes up to me and says, hey, you're trespassing and I don't want you riding here, cool, bro. I'm turning around. I'm out. I've had people where I've been riding somewhere and people have come up and, hey, I own this land and I don't want people riding four-wheelers, dirt bikes on it. Get the fuck out of here. I'm calling the cops. And it's like, hey, dude, you know, I got to call the cops. I'm out. I'm not going to argue with you. It's your land. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm going to go. Not because I'm afraid of the legal repercussions, because you own the land and you don't want me here. So I'm not going to be here. There's another place I ride where it's a small, like relatively flat, just kind of wooded area, and there's a no trespassing sign up. But there's people that know the owner, and the owner has told them, if you see people coming and going, stop, touch base with them, see what they're doing, and if they ain't hurting nobody, tell them they're welcome to ride here. But if they're, if they're being obnoxious, if they're bringing junk back here, tell them to get lost. And so I talked to this one guy, and I'm like, is this your land? Like, I saw you opening the gate. I didn't know if you owned this. Like, if you own this and you don't want people back here, I won't come back. I'll leave. I told him, I built a little shelter out of dead wood and stuff. I'll tear it down. I won't come back. He's like, no. He's like, I know the owner. The owner's name's such and such. And, he just doesn't want people out here bringing garbage and dumping back here. Otherwise, you ride. Like, we don't care. Like, he doesn't give a shit. He's a good dude. He don't care. He's an older man. He doesn't get to come back here and enjoy the property, so enjoy the property. And I don't need a law to tell me not to trespass. If this man tells me not to trespass, I'm not going to trespass. Now, you can make the argument the sign is him telling me not to trespass, but that guy's got a sign up, but he doesn't care. The sign is more to cover his ass because people hunt on that property. So if you're out hunting and you get hurt, it's like, well, you weren't supposed to be here in the first place. This ain't my problem. Get out of here. You're not suing me because you broke your ankle on my property while you were hunting. So get lost. I just think there's too many laws for no reason. Too many laws exist for no reason. Concealed carry laws are bullshit. Okay? Concealed carry laws are complete bullshit. I think they deserve to be broken because there's no crime being committed when you break it. Now, trespassing is a different thing. Trespassing, you might be riding on somebody's sacred land or somebody's family cemetery or something. You might be doing something disrespectful and not even realize it. And they don't want their land disrespected. In that case, yeah, I totally get it. I just think there's a lot of times where we sit down and we think, okay, I'm going to carry this gun. And I'm going to carry this gun because I want to protect myself. I want to protect my family, my friends, my community. But I'm not going to carry this gun into Walmart because they have a no gun sign. Well, what logic is that? That's not a law. I mean, no gun signs are technically not laws. Or, like I said with my wife, she wants to carry a gun to defend herself. She's not worried about the community. She's worried about her. She wants to carry a gun to defend herself, but she doesn't have a concealed carry permit. Well, the class is expensive. It's almost $100. She's like, I don't really have the $100 to take the class. And I'm like, I'll spend the $100. And she's like, I'm just going to carry. And I told her, you understand if you get caught carrying, you could have serious repercussions. I think it's a misdemeanor in Ohio. I think it's just like a slap on the wrist and a fine, which just means legal for a price. And that's the other thing that drove me nuts about when Ohio was not a constitutional carry state is, so if I get caught concealed carrying, you're going to write me a ticket. I'm going to continue concealed carrying until I get to my car or whatever and take it off. And then I have to go to court and pay the ticket. Like, what logic is that? You didn't stop me from concealed carrying. In fact, I continued concealed carrying throughout the day until I got back to my vehicle and took it off. Just kept doing it. It's like I worked for one job and it's ended up being how I lost the job. They told me they have a no firearms policy because somebody had seen my gun. I said, cool, I won't carry anymore. And I started carrying a really small gun for a while, but I was like, man, this kind of fucking sucks. I don't really like small guns. They don't carry well on me. I'm not a big fan of them. And I don't like them because I can't hit the broadside of a barn. So I started carrying my Glock again. And I was like, man, fuck it. What are the odds that someone will notice twice? Someone noticed twice and I got fired. I don't care that I got fired. I don't. I could not care less that I got fired. I was in at least one building a day that had a no gun sign. with a company that has a no-gun policy. I wasn't hurting anyone. I had no intentions of hurting anyone. And they took my job from me. Fair. If you don't want me to carry a gun, that's fine. I'm going to do it in a way that you don't know that I'm doing it. And if you find out I'm doing it and you want to fire me over it, okay. You have rules. I broke your rules. I didn't do anything illegal. When they fired me, I said, okay, I'll leave. I didn't sit there and argue. I said, okay, you're firing me. I was like, is there anything else I can do? Is there any way I can keep my job? Like, no? Okay. Have a good one. I didn't argue with him. I didn't fight with him because I understood the consequences long before the situation arose. I understood when I started carrying a gun that if I concealed carry without a permit, I might get fined, I might get arrested, I might get my weapon taken away, whatever it is. There will be repercussions if I get caught. And so, because I was young and I was nervous about carrying in general, I open carried. I just said, fuck it, I'm going to open carry. Until I got my permit with my buddy Mike. Mike wouldn't even carry the gun without getting the permit. Even though he could conceal carry, or even though he could open carry, he wouldn't even carry it without the permit. I don't think he'll carry with a round in the chamber to this day. Which, if you're going to carry a firearm, please, for the love of God, carry with a round in the chamber, because you're not going to have time to rack a round in when you need it. Especially if you're on your back and someone's on top of you, you're not going to have time to rack a round off into the chamber and then use that weapon. Just don't carry on an empty chamber. It's really dumb. It's a real good way to die. But, Mike's on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm way over here on, I don't care, I'm not hurting anyone, leave me alone. Mike's all the way over on here at, I want to have all my T's crossed and my I's dotted, and I want to make sure that there is nothing I can get in trouble for. Because Mike doesn't want to get in trouble. I don't care. And there's nothing wrong with Mike not wanting to get in trouble. I'm not saying Mike's a bad person. I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm not saying he's wrong. He doesn't want to get in trouble, and that's fine. He doesn't want to risk a ticket or a fine or getting his gun taken or whatever. He doesn't want to take that risk. I don't care about that risk. That risk means nothing to me. Because you take one and I've got another. I've got another gun. I've got another holster. I've got another gun. Take it. I'll be doing the same thing tomorrow. Just like when I got written up for carrying at work and they said, hey, you do this again, you might get fired. And I said, okay, I won't do it anymore. And then I walked out of the office and I walked to my car and I put my gun back on and I went back to work. I said, it's a risk I'm willing to take because the alternative to that risk is I die. The alternative to that risk is somebody gets hurt, somebody gets killed. The alternative risk to I'm going to carry a gun but not in Walmart because they have a no gun sign is I'm in Walmart, a mass shooting takes place, and I don't have my gun. The alternative to I'm not going to carry in New York because I'm not allowed is I'm in New York, I don't have my gun, and I need a gun. I get robbed at gunpoint. Or someone tries to kill my wife, or someone tries to steal my car, and I'm in New York, and I didn't bring my gun because it's not legal. Now I'm dead on the side of the road. I'd rather be alive in jail than dead on the side of the road or dead in a fucking alley somewhere because I didn't bring my gun and I went to California. I'd rather be fucking sitting in the courtroom saying, Your Honor, this city's a shithole. Of course I carried a gun here. Than sitting in heaven going, you mean I could have had another 50 years if I'd have just carried my gun? Well, I made a bad decision. I'd rather be sitting in the courtroom saying, I'll be out in 10. I guess I'll do my 10 years. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to go to prison, but I'm not afraid to. I don't care. Anyway, that's my long-winded rant on we have too many laws. There's a law for everything now. Everything has a law, and a lot of them are stupid and redundant. Like the pies cooling on a windowsill on Sunday thing. It's illegal, and it's dumb. Why is that a law? Well, because, it used to draw bears into town when people were at church, and nobody took their guns to church because everyone's going to church. The whole town's at church. What's going to happen? Everyone left their guns at home because the entire town went to church. There ain't going to be no problems at church. So everyone comes home, there's a bear, nobody can get in their house and get their gun to shoot the bear, and now it's a problem. So, hey, it's illegal. You're going to get fined if you do this. And most people say, well, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to pay the $10. It's, I don't want to pay the $1 fine back then, because this was like the 1800s when this law was written, So it's like, it's a $5 fine. It's kind of a lot of money. I don't want to pay the $5. I just won't bake pies until I get home from church. Simple enough. But it's still something that was a law at one point. Why? Like, why did that have to be made a law? Why wasn't that something that we could have just come to as an agreement? Hey, we leave pies cooling and critters get into town. Nobody brings their guns to church, so we got to deal with these critters. It's a big pain in the ass. Let's not do that anymore. Or simple solution, take your gun to church. Just saying. Anyway, that's all I got. I just wanted to yap about that because it's something that I've been thinking about kind of in general ever since that shit went down with my wife's accident. And it's just something I've been thinking about for a while, especially with the concealed carry thing. It's like, there's a lot of laws that are illegal. Like, here's another one, for example. Turning right on red is illegal in some states. In the state of Ohio, if you come to a stop and you're turning right and the light's red, as long as traffic's clear, you can turn right. Because why not? Like, you're not hurting anybody. It's not impeding traffic. It's helping traffic flow. So you can do it. But in some states, you can't. Well, guess what? I still turn right on red. And if I get pulled over, I'll get pulled over. It's fine. Most cops won't pull you over even if it's not illegal. I don't care if it's not illegal. And most of the time, you get pulled over and it's, oh, hey, I'm from Ohio and we do this all the time. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even realize it was illegal here. And the cop's like, cool, bro, have a good day. It's illegal here. That's, and that's the end of it. But it's just something that I don't care that it's illegal. I don't care. But anyway, that's all I got. I'll see you all in the